Tech Nuggets, RDC for the ECT department. This video is specifically for ECT students and faculty that need access to the lab infrastructure to do lab work and that kind of thing. And we're going to utilize Windows Remote Desktop Connections. RDP, RDC is kind of the acronyms we'll throw around when we talk about it. And it's effectively going to give us a GUI remote control of a remote Windows or Linux session. So this is all going to be going to be GUI that gets us in to be able to do that kind of stuff. And I'm going to go through kind of screen by screen in the slides and talk about each one a little bit. And then I'm going to go off and do a demo of it so you can sort of see it live in action. So in Windows, to get an RDC session started, we're going to do a Windows search. So you might click on the Windows key and that'll open up. You can start typing and you just put in remote desktop connection and it'll pop up an icon that looks like this when you hit enter on it. And this is a nice blank remote desktop connection client looking thing. We're going to go on. We're going to need the IP address of the remote system that you want to connect to. So in my case, I put in 10.101.8.255 because that's a remote session that is on the other end waiting for me to connect to it, and I've got the IP address. So that'll be something supplied to you by a faculty or a staffer telling you, yes, this is yours, go connect to it. So you'll need that. Unfortunately, it's not as specific. Our machines are not accessible directly from the internet. So we use an RD gateway to bounce through to make those connections. So to set that up, we're going to click on the show options down there in the lower left corner, which will move us on to some expanded options, and we're going to need to move through that. So here we'll be able to see, it's kind of the same screen, only a little bigger. We've got a username here that we might be able to put in the username that we're given, again, by the faculty or staffer. Oftentimes this will be ITSVM, but it may be something else depending on what you're using. And you can check the little box to say save credentials. That way the next time you try to go and you open the client again, you can click on it. It'll save your ITSVM password, which are all unique. We give those out to the students as we go. To set up the RD gateway, though, we need to go to the Advanced tab on the right side. So we'll see here I've clicked on the Advanced tab and it opens it up. This screen is pretty much unused by us other than to get us to the Settings button, which is at the bottom of this. So you'll click on the Settings button and that will get us into the kind of the detailed RD gateway settings that we need. And you can see in the picture here, I've clicked on the second radio button of use these RD gateway server settings, and I filled in our RD server name. So its-s15.its.ohio.edu, which I put in the bottom bullet point, is there. And that's our RD gateway server. And this will, when we use this, will prompt you for your Ohio username and password to connect to the gateway, and then it will fill in the ITSVM password as it passes on through. So we'll go on along and I'll do a demonstration so that you can see what's going on. Got my Windows 10 remote desktop connection client running here, as you can see, and we're going to go to the show options. It's going to pull everything down, and we're going to go to 10.101.40.110, which is the VM I'm connecting to. This will be the IP address you get in class for connections to any of that kind of stuff, and you'll get a username and a password that goes with it. And we're going to put it in here. Mine's ITSVM. We're going to check the Allow Me to Save Credentials button. So once I get it all set up right, it'll save it all. And the next time I connect, I just hit the remote desktop connection client, hit connect, and it should remember all my usernames and passwords. Let's go down to the Advanced tab. We'll click on Settings, and we're going to click on Use These RD Gateway Server Settings. its-s15.its.ohio.edu. And we're going to take a quick look at display. And this is the way the remote system is going to be displayed on your machine. It's currently set to full screen, so it's just going to take over, and there'll be a bar up at the center top if you leave it this way. I tend to move mine down to maybe 1280 by 1024 or something like that. That tends to make it a window on your screen. 1024 by 768 is nice. In this case, I'm actually going to use 800 by 600 so that it fits in my display here for the video. But you can play with that and get it as big or as small as you like. It can be quite useful to do that kind of stuff. Let's go back to the general and we'll hit connect. So it's going to reach out to our server and make a remote connection. And the first thing it's going to want to do, and it's going to be important to read these two credential boxes. One is for the RD Gateway server credentials. And so you can see it's ITS S15. So this is going to be your Ohio ID. So I'm going to put my Ohio ID in here and my Ohio ID password. And I'm going to check the Remember Me button so that it remembers the server credential passwords in the future. It'll then go along and try to talk to the server, where it's going to want to talk to, and this is going to be, again, look carefully, because these credentials will be used for the remote session. So 10.101 40.110, this will be the username and password given to you in class. And we can check, the Remember Me button is probably checked at this point. And it is not uncommon to get these. Windows loves to do certs and certifications. It's checking the cert and saying, I don't have one. You can check the little button at the bottom that says, don't ask me again. Otherwise, you'll get this cert warning. It's not an error, it's a warning every time. And it decided to generate it way off into the side. So I'm going to drag it and move it over. You can see here I can kind of grab it and make it bigger, and you can see it takes it up. And this is my working VM that I've got, but you can see here I'm working in Ubuntu. Yeah, and again, once I set it all up once, I should be able to click the button, and you notice here it's got all my credentials saved. I should be able to hit connect, and it just connects me right to the session. I will get the server warning, the cert warning every time if I don't check the button. And there we are, looking at the same session again. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this Tech Nugget, and I hope to see you for the next Tech Nugget.